Hi, and we are live again. I'm Christine, and normally I do this in Australian morning time, but I'm so excited. We got the wonderful ECHE from Laos. Is that right? In Nigeria. I always say
Lagos,
Lagos. I
Nigeria.
always say it wrong. Guaranteed every time. Lagos, and my it's not that I don't know it from James Bond and all that, and from a long time ago. It's just I just keep doing it. So I thought I'm going to get it right this time, but of course I didn't. Anyway,
That's
I'm
okay.
so excited to have you here, Etcha. And you know what? I'm so loving that I'm not just doing the interviews with Australians or sometimes in America because that fits my timeline or time zone in the morning. So this is super excited to be in Nigeria right now and with you live. This is why I love that we have all this technology, even though I love more human connection normally.
Absolutely.
So today we're going to talk about something that's dear to both our hearts, something I think we both have personal experience with. And I loved having these conversations because I never know where they're going to go. Someone said to me, "You got to tell the audience, what are we going to talk about?" I'm like, well, actually, I don't normally know because this is a conversation around business and life and what's stopping us from being our best, right? So I don't know, but I'm super excited to have you here. And please tell us a little bit more about yourself. And if you want to find out about me, whoever's watching the replay or watching live, look me up on the LinkedIn, Christine Bell. You can find me there and we can talk more. But this is about ECHE and about talking about life and business and what matters. So over to you. Please feel free to tell us about yourself.
Oh, thank you so much, Christine. It's a pleasure to be here. So a little bit about myself. I am Echezonachi Awa. That's my full name, and I am a virtual assistant and a business manager. I've been working in the online space since COVID. I'm sure a lot of us, COVID threw us into the digital world. So I'm one of them. Yeah. And it's been beautiful. Of course, there's been challenges and rewarding experiences. I work as a business manager for a non-profit organization in the United States that focuses on providing support for kids with neuro developmental disabilities. It's a different experience for me, but it's a beautiful one. Very, very beautiful one.
I imagine there's something about giving back, isn't there? There's just something that adds a little bit more
Exactly.
value to it.
It's so enriching. And apart from work, I love cooking. Oh my god. I see a recipe on Instagram or YouTube and I've taken note of it. Once I have a free time and I have the necessary ingredients, I'm in the kitchen working up some magic. And I love
Oh,
gardening. In
I
fact,
love
this
that. And you know what? One day when you meet my husband, he is a trained chef. He loves
oh wow.
gardening and cooking. He
Oh my
just
god.
loves cooking too. You guys would have so much to talk about.
I'm going to really look forward to that. And another thing I love doing is gardening. In fact, before jumping on this meeting, I spent about an hour, 30 minutes in the garden, harvesting. I harvested some sweet potatoes, planted some new ones, moved around some flowers, did some watering and weeding.
Oh,
It brings me back to nature, to earth, getting your hand dirty and all of that. It's one of my favorite things to do early morning, evening, and on weekends. So just that's
what a
basically a
way
bit
to ground! What a way to ground! And I just have to say hello to Tommy. Tommy is in from Holland, but he lives in Laos, and I probably pronounced that incorrectly too. Uh, and he's wonderful. He's a health coach and wellness coach, and he's amazing.
wow.
So great to have you here. Thank you, Tommy. So back to you. You know what? Oh, here comes a name. Can you see in the comments? I can't pronounce this name. Hopefully you can. She wants help with the dogs today. Definitely, I'm a dog lover too. But back to now, in terms of this whole thing around grounding. Why is it so important in the world we live today?
I think it's basically where we all begin. It's part of us. So most times we are kind of out of touch with who we are, with nature, maybe because of work, family responsibilities. But I've noticed that as much as it can be strenuous, just like you're doing exercise, it's strenuous, having to combine work, family, and gardening. But when I garden, it doesn't look like I'm stressed. I don't feel stressed. I feel relieved. I read somewhere someone said it's like a slow form of exercise. So it's healthy. I will put it that way. It's very healthy for me. I usually deal with a lot of stress due to work, but since I started gardening towards middle of last year, it's been a whole different experience for me. So I'll tell everybody to try it
Oh,
out. It could
I
be
love
just small kitchen garden, but you would see the difference, honestly.
I love that. And I can't wait to one day have a garden as well because my husband is so into it and I love it too. And Tommy is saying the health and wellness guy working in the garden is
Yeah,
nice for grounding and relaxing the mind.
it does. It does.
Oh, I love that. And what a great way to start every day. Yeah. Having that, I think sometimes with abundance, we think it's all about money when in fact, it's that opportunity that you have right now in the way you work now. You're able to work online in America whilst you live in your home country and you're able
That
to have time in the garden beforehand. I mean, that's abundance, isn't it?
it is. It really is. It's beautiful every day. It is.
And living life on our terms to some extent in terms of being, as much as I did not enjoy the last 5 years in terms of the COVID situation and everything else that came with it, there was something that really made me stop and have to spend time with myself. And really, so we live in the city, but we have a big park close to us and we do have outside a terrace area and lots of greenery areas. And I have a dog, so he walks everywhere, right? And that's what we do. We just spend time walking and I love it. So I totally get that. So in terms of this whole thing around living life, our best life, right? What some of the things that you have now in the last 5 years working online, what have you really learned about yourself and in terms of what you enjoy and how you enjoy best working now that you kind of is changing your life around to make sure there's time for you too?
I think that's a beautiful question. I've always loved the idea of helping people. And I would say to a great extent, that's what led me to virtual assistant because that's a good way to help business owners, help startup owners, people who are trying to build their business. That's a good way for me to help them in that growth journey. And it's been beautiful, you're helping someone grow their business. And let me give an instance. Last week, one of my clients, I was helping him prepare, get things ready for his meeting. That's one of the things I do for him. I remember him sending me a message after the meeting and say, "We won the client." And such experiences are always beautiful. It's like I'm part of this big beautiful thing that is making a difference. So it's
Yeah.
always beautiful. And one thing I've noticed that always makes a difference, or should I say always makes a mark, is taking the job as your own. I work as a virtual assistant. I could easily say, "Oh, I'm just an assistant. I just help them. It's not my business, so I can do it anyhow." But I take the business as my own.
Yeah.
And so it makes me work proactively. I'm always looking for, what should we do next, or what should we do better to
Yeah.
get things moving the right way. And it makes such a clean difference. It makes a difference for me in two ways. I always get that beautiful feedback from my clients. This is something that always keeps me going. When I get that little message, "Oh, Eche, this is excellent. Thank you for bringing my mind to this. I saw what you
It
did
feels
with it.
good, right? It feels good.
Oh my
You've done
God.
something good. People are happy and you feel rewarded in
Oh,
terms of I've added value. For me, that's what it's all about, including when I work at the university.
exactly.
It's like that sense I'm adding value to someone, right?
Always, it's a beautiful motivation for me to keep doing what I'm doing, to do more. In my language, in my mother tongue, we say, let me say it in Igbo, I will explain it. Ekele onye akidi ogboto ozo. What it means is you appreciate someone for doing something, they tend to do more. You understand? So when I get those beautiful feedbacks, it encourages me to do more. And
Exactly. You want to do even more. It's like the carrots
yeah,
actually work better than the stick, right? I don't
it's
know
more like
why leaders haven't worked this out yet. The stick doesn't work that well for anyone when it comes to motivation. We want to feel good. We want that dopamine, that sort of like,
yes.
wow, dopamine and whatever that is for different people. That's what we're looking for.
True. When I see a lot of posts on LinkedIn and people say, people stay when they are appreciated, it's
Yeah.
the truth. And I think it goes both ways. I'm an employee and I want to be appreciated by my employer. I have to do a good work. I think that is where excellence comes in. If I
Yes.
want to be appreciated by my employer, irrespective of who that person is, I have to do a good work. And then on
Yeah.
the part of the employer, when you see your employee is doing a good job, appreciate that person. It doesn't take much. A little well done, it goes a long way. Oh, I saw what you did. Excellent. It goes a long way. I had I had a client. I was helping him with his LinkedIn. And one day I get a message from him. He made a screenshot of a comment I made for on someone's post. And he's like, Eche, this is excellent. And I'm like, oh my God, this is just a comment. But he saw it and he felt this is good. I need to appreciate Eche for this. It goes, I haven't forgotten it. This is something that happened like February, but I'm not going to forget it. It's going to be there. So that
Yeah.
appreciation goes a long way and it makes us want to do more. But then you want to be appreciated. You have to be proactive. You have to do an excellent job. I think I made a post one day on LinkedIn about that. And I said, never settle for very good where excellent it's possible. So if something can be done better, don't do it this way. It
Yeah.
always aim higher.
Give
If
it your
you
best, right? Give it your best. It may not be
exactly,
perfect, but you're doing your best. And I feel good when I do my best. It's a good
yeah,
feeling.
yeah, it is. It makes a difference. And when you become intentional about doing your best at work, it flows into every other thing you do. At
Yeah.
home, you unconsciously start doing your best at home. You're cooking, you're trying to do the best you can. You're talking about your health, or you're making plans to, get your health together and all of that. You're trying to do the best you can. It starts seeping into every aspect of your life. You're making more effort in building and nurturing relationships. You're making more effort in getting your finances together. So it's not just about, oh, I don't have to do this because it's not my work. But if you become intentional about doing excellently well or doing the best you can, your best might not even be excellent, but it's your best. And that is, we improve with it. I'm sure if
And
I look at the way I was working in 2020, 2021, and the way I work now, it's not the same thing. There's been improvement. So do your best today. Tomorrow, do your best. It will just keep improving. I think that
yes.
should be something we all take home with today.
I
Always do your
love
best,
that.
just like you
Always do
said.
your best. And, and some days you might be better than others because we all have ups and downs, but that's
Yeah,
okay. That's life. That's humanity. And I keep
true.
having the words as you were talking. I kept going with the words like care and pride in yourself, having respect for yourself, caring about what you can do for others as well as yourself, because, I love what you're saying, but there's the flip side of this, doing my best to someone who might still have some self doubts about themselves, and I've worked through that for a long time, and thankfully I can feel a real shift in the last few years. But and there's
Yeah.
still bits and bobs of that lack of self worth when you have had that wound from childhood. But you can actually move over when you're still in that mode, though. Sometimes do your best turns into perfectionism because we are like needing that dopamine from someone else to tell us this is good enough. We can't
Mm,
actually go, you know what? I'm really
yeah.
good at evaluating. I did good today, yeah, and go, hey, Ashley, to yourself. I did. I'm not gonna say the word great, yeah.
True, you're right. It's just like you said. It could be something we grew up with, and so you're trying to always hear the next person say you did good, and then most times, even without your knowing or unintentionally,
Yeah,
you start burning out. You're
yeah.
trying to do good. You're trying to be seen, so you become a people pleaser. You don't know how to say no.
Exactly.
You're working overtime and all of that. I think around August, September 2020, when I had just moved into the online world, gotten a job on LinkedIn, that was me. And after 1 month, I actually quit that job because
Yeah.
I was too stressed out. My mom kept saying, Eche, you have to relax. You have to relax. I'm working morning at dinner time. I'm still working, because I felt I have to prove myself. I need that validation. So I think we need to strike the balance. If you're doing a good job, you will feel it in you that you're doing a good job.
So
You
true.
don't
That's an
necessarily
inside
need.
feeling.
Exactly, it's there. You might not necessarily need someone to tell you, "Oh, you're doing a good job." And the truth is, just like what you said, your good job is not going to be the best every day. Consistency doesn't mean you have 100% every day. There are days that you're doing a good job, but that day is just a drag, and maybe just you have to try again the next day. It's all right.
Exactly.
That
Exactly.
that is
Show
actually
up and be your best.
yes. Your best might not be the number 100% every day, but it's your best. This
Yeah.
is the best I could give today. And
Yeah.
it's okay. Of course, I've had bosses or clients that don't really do too well with appreciating others. You do a good job. Maybe they see it, but they are not so good with, oh, well done and all of that. And it's
No.
okay. I just know within me that I have done a good job. And
Exactly.
like I was saying earlier, don't burn yourself out because you're trying to do an excellent job, because you're trying to do a good job. Because when you continuously burn yourself out, time will come when you can no longer do that work. You want to give, maybe do the best you can and maybe a little more. That's okay. Don't overexert yourself in trying to do a good job. We have 24 hours in a day. We have like 12, 7, 8 hours to sleep and some other hours in between to do other things. You need to
Yeah.
time yourself. Okay, I'm going to put in 7 hours today to work. If 7 hours is up and you were not able to achieve that, as long as it's not a deadline, it's not something that is urgent, you can push it to the next day. Give
Yeah.
yourself time to rest, to rejuvenate. I learned somewhere that when we sleep well, we are able to work better, we are more productive. But if you're constantly burning yourself out, sleeping less and less, at some point in time
Yeah.
you're going to be staring at your screen and you won't know what to do because your body is so tired. So as much as
Yes.
we pursue excellence, it shouldn't be at the cost or the detriment to our health. I think that's a great point you made there.
Yeah, and it's so important, right? Because if we have to be grounded in ourselves, we have to know we're enough, so we're not actually looking for. It's a nice icing on the pudding for sure, and I love it too.
Ah,
But first and foremost, we got to know where we are at, how we're feeling, that we're doing well. And then, like you said, you're absolutely right. You can easily end up working, especially if you're trying to build your own business. But also, I was working for others. I was working night and day for others. Yeah, it came with a big salary, but not big enough for my health. It wasn't worth that, and it was costing my health, and I burned out. And it's one of those where you really got to go me first. I cannot. It's back to this thing, filling your cup first. And I love Tommy said earlier, grounding is like a spiritual and biological reset. And that's the
reset.
whole thing around, filling your cup. It's not necessarily just another nice bath. Yeah, that might
Mm,
not just quite do it. You actually have to do, like, you get into something you're passionate about, get into something you
yeah.
love doing, something that
Mm,
nurtures you and your soul, and it's gardening for you. And for me, it's horse riding, for example. It's still nature, but in a different way. and
yeah.
and, and we all have different ways. You just got to find your thing that you make for you. Even if you have children responsibility, there's got to be some time for you.
Yeah. You can't pour from an empty cup. You
Yeah.
have to learn We have to learn to take care of ourselves. If you take care of yourself, then you can be your best for your family, your spouse, your children. You
Yeah.
can be your best at work, for your friends. You can, but if you're not taking care of yourself, it's going to show in everything you do. So
Yes.
we have to. And just like we talked initially, I talked about gardening. It has become my kind of way to relieve stress and all of that.
Yeah.
We should find our own. Just, you talked about you
Yes.
love horse riding. For someone,
Yes.
it could be just laying on the bed and listening to this cool soothing music. It could be
Absolutely.
cooking, or talking with friends or playing with your pet, your dogs or
Yes.
something like that. So we need to find it. So at the end of, once you're done with work, you could just rest, do something you love for your own self. That is not work. I was talking with a friend and I was asking my friend, what do you love doing, And he said, oh, I love working. And I said, no, that's not what I'm talking about.
What else
That's
do you
not
like?
that's not what I'm talking about. When you're done with working and you want to do something for yourself, you said, yes, it's work. I said, no, you need to go and think about it. Something that is not work. You may be passionate about your work, but
Yeah.
you need to have fun. Find something
Yeah.
out, something that is not exactly a responsibility, something
Yeah,
that you
and
just,
variety. You want
yeah,
different things in life. You can't just do one thing.
exactly.
You want to get to the end of life and go, all I did was this, and I forgot to do
Exactly.
anything that I didn't even know what I loved. I forgot to find out what that might be. I'd be like, dang.
So you need to, it doesn't matter if it takes you a month to figure it out. You need to figure out what you love and start doing that thing. Even if it's just 30 minutes each day, it's okay.
Yes.
But doing that thing you love, it's a different kind of feeling. It makes you feel good. It relaxes and energizes your
Yes.
body because,
It's positive dopamine. It's like a positive hit
yeah,
of this feeling that we all crave, but you can get it from drugs, and that's not a positive way to get it, or you can
no.
get it from doing something you love, right?
Exactly. So I think that is one thing we should, because day after day our world gets busier. Work, there's so much to do at work, and if you're not careful, you're going to spend your time and your days just working. But that is not what we are here for. You're going to live your 80s and 70s in regret because you may have lots of money, but you didn't actually live. Because when you're 70 in your 70s and 80s, you can't move around much. You can't go riding horses. You might not be able to bend to plants in your garden, you know. so so now that you can
Now's the
do all
time.
the things, go ahead and do them. Even if
Yes.
it's just, early last year I was trying to build my reading habits again, and I said I'm going to be reading 1 hour each day. It wasn't possible for me. It
Yeah.
wasn't possible for me until I started doing, even if it's 10 minutes a day. I will read,
Sometimes
even
that's
if it's
small.
10 minutes a day. And that made a difference. So when I say, okay, I just have 10 minutes, the book is interesting. I might end up spending 1 hour reading, but I didn't initially start out to read for 1 hour because 1 hour might look like a lot. And I could be thinking,
Yeah.
oh, in 1 hour, I could do this, I could do that. But when I say 10 minutes, it's just a very little moment. But then when
Yeah.
you get into it, because it's something you love, you're going to see that you're spending so much time on it. At the end, you feel, oh, where did the time go? But your body feels good at the end of it. So I think that's
Exactly.
one thing we should pursue.
I love that. And we just got my friend Lara. She's from Colombia, but she lives in Sydney. And she loves, I just saw her post today. She loves, I think she does some kung fu or something like that, and dancing as well.
Wow.
And she's
That's
a breath coach
awesome.
as well.
Nice to meet you, Laura.
So yeah, so totally exactly that. That's all about, you gotta understand yourself and what your needs are, and you gotta, please don't, we never know how long we got, so make the most of it and find something you love, figure it out, try different things until you work out going, this is something I really just enjoy for the sake of it. You
Yeah.
don't need anything else. You just enjoy it. It's not about the money. It's not about the validation. It's not about the, in terms of looking the right way or the right persona or brand. So for me, like I also like drawing and art. I just enjoy it. I had a accident in 2021 where I couldn't walk much, and I got back into drawing. We're also in lockdown, so it was kind of a good time. And I got back into drawing, and I'm like, I'm not going to show this to anyone because what I had to leave behind was caring about what other thoughts. And there was some freedom in doing something, especially if you have a low self-esteem still, in doing
Yeah.
something that you can go, I don't need anyone to see it. This is mine alone, right? No one is going to evaluate it at all.
You
and
do
I
it
could
for
just be
you.
myself. Exactly right.
Wow, that is it. Because sometimes we kind of feel a little bit, should I say, a little bit insecure, and we're wondering what will people say, how will people feel, is this okay for the public? But sometimes you could just do it for yourself. You don't need other people to even see it. You do it for yourself, and you improve. At some point in time, you're going to feel more confident showing it to the public. But
Yeah.
until then, let it be in your closet. Every morning you go pee and I say, oh, I did that, I did that, and
And
one day
it
you're going
feels
to,
kind of sneaky and good, doesn't it? It feels like, oh,
yeah, it
this is
does.
mine. Yeah, no one. It's like my secret.
Exactly. One day you're going to go back and look at the journey. This was the first drawing, and look at where I am now. You're going to see that you've made real progress. It's just like,
Yeah.
if I go to the previous post I made on LinkedIn, and I'm like, oh, I wrote this, I wrote that. And sometimes I look at the post and I'm like, oh, I wrote this during the period when AI wasn't everywhere. This all came out from my brain, and I'm like, oh, this is good. That kind
I
of
know.
thing.
It feels good. I got to. I'm like, gee, I did that. Especially because I remember when I started on
Exactly.
LinkedIn, I wasn't that great and I didn't feel that confident. And now I look at some of it, I go, I just wrote that. Man,
And there are some you will look at and you'll be like, I can't believe I did this. What was I
I know,
thinking?
oh, what is exactly? And we all have those moments, right? So at
Yeah.
least loving ourselves more through both the things that we're really pleased with and want to share with the world, and the stuff where we are less impressed with ourselves. Yeah, we
And
still have to
and
love that part
growing,
too.
yeah, I'm growing through them. You're going to look back and see the things you did right and the ones you didn't do right. But I think that is where the lesson is. If you
Yeah.
look at something and you found out that, oh, this is beautiful, I can't believe I did this 3 years ago or 5 years ago, you sit with it. What did I do right? How can I copy this and replicate it in my life today? Now maybe you look at something and like, what was I thinking when I did this? You should find out what went wrong. What happened that made this not turn out well. It's a
Yeah.
lesson. You pick the
That
lesson,
that
but don't
And
go.
how did it help you get to the next point? Why did you have to have that lesson? Why was it worth the things where you thought that was a mistake, but it was there for a reason? And
Yeah.
yes, you can actually pick apart, going, actually learn from it, reflection, and learn from it. Then go at some point where you still like maybe feeling guilty, shame, whatever. You can go, which is what I try and do these days, is sit with myself and go, you know what? Wasn't my best moment, but I'm gonna love that person anyway because this was exactly what happened because it was meant to happen to get me to where I am today.
Exactly. That is the way we should approach it. It might not be the best. We might, maybe that we should give ourselves grace. Be
Yeah.
patient with ourselves. At each point in time, we're learning and we're growing. Next year you're going to be better than who you are today. So when you see those moments that happened before that were not so beautiful, and so, should I say, screen worthy, you shouldn't beat yourself up.
Definitely not screen worthy.
Yeah, you shouldn't beat yourself up. You shouldn't go feeling, I can't believe I did this, and you're talking down on yourself. it's
Yeah.
it's a growth moment. When you look at that one, look at the one you did maybe 3 5 years later, a couple of
Yeah.
months later, a couple of weeks later, you're going to see the difference. We keep getting better, even if it's tiny pecks of betterness, if I should put it that way, but we are always making progress. It
Yeah.
might be slow and little progress, but it's something. When you look back a year later, you're going to see the difference, and you're going to be
Yes.
proud of yourself. So when you look at that thing and it's like, I'm not good at this. You're not good at it at that moment, but you can get better. You can become good at it. Maybe now, let's say you're very poor at it. Give it a couple of weeks' time. Keep practicing. You might still be poor at it, but not very poor at it. And then give it a couple of weeks more. We're going to start seeing some improvement. By the time we're down 6 months, 1 year, you're going to be good at it. So it's more or less like we should, as we strive for excellence, as we strive to get better at whatever we do, whether it's work or our private lives,
Yeah.
we should give ourselves patience to grow. It's
I
like
love that.
when I'm gardening and I scatter seeds. Let's say I want to plant some bell peppers, and I get my little planting containers and I scatter seeds. After 3 4 days, you're going to see some that will start germinating. Some
Yeah.
others won't. I'm not going to discard those ones that are not yet coming up. I just have to be patient with them. So there are people in the world that are very fast learners. They,
Yeah.
they learn things. You wanna learn the language, you're still grappling with the language, and in 6 months they're speaking like a native.
Fluent. Like what? Yeah, right.
Yeah, but you're still trying to understand the full sentence. Don't beat yourself up. I'm sure when you look back a couple of months or weeks later, you may not even know how to say hello in that language. So we're all making progress each day. Don't beat yourself up. Just be patient with yourself. I think that is just it. Whether you're running a business or you're a VA like myself, you have a startup, whatever it is you do, you're a mom, you're trying out a new recipe in the kitchen. The first time you might get a little bit salty, a little bit soggy, and all of that, but it
You're
will
learning.
get better.
Exactly, and I love that. We're going to have to finish up now. I could talk to you forever, but you know that. Laura is saying, I love this. Everything has purpose. No energy is lost ever. Absolutely right. And I just want to say to you, there's a few things which it's a great segment into making sure people know where to find you and what you do. Is there some things where I'm like, you know what, I could probably learn this, but I'd rather outsource it. As soon as I can afford it, I'll be outsourcing it. Like things that managing my business, all those things where it just takes me forever. Social media, where I'm like, I need some help as soon as I'm ready to afford it consistently. It's like, yes, so
Yeah,
sometimes you also have to go, let's focus on the things I love and do that better and better. And the things I don't love, maybe at some point it's great to learn. There's certain things in business you have to learn, like finances and stuff. It would be silly to just outsource it from the beginning. And I really want to outsource some things, but I'm learning because that is what I need to be a good business person. And when
yeah,
I'm ready, I trust the money will be there to go, yeah, you learn what you need to learn now. And now you can hand it over to ECHE and someone, the accountant, obviously they
yeah,
do a bit of it anyway, but you know what I mean? So with that
yeah,
in mind, and I could talk forever, but we're not going to, we're going to finish up. You have a life too,
yeah.
and a family. Where can people find you and how can they best connect with you? And obviously we have the your LinkedIn contact here running on the banner as well for those who are watching the replay.
I would say LinkedIn. I'm on LinkedIn every day, maybe apart from weekends, but you always see me on LinkedIn. And once you send messages, you find me there. You want links to
Yeah.
my email is also in my profile. So I would say LinkedIn. Just go on LinkedIn. That's the fastest
Yeah.
way to get me.
And that's the best place to absolutely, because you and I are both mainly on LinkedIn, I believe. I am going to go on TikTok. I haven't done it yet. I've said it for a year, but I'm getting closer, I think, maybe. Your husband is a little bit at getting on all of them and doing a great job. I admire that.
Yeah,
Maybe you're helping him a
he
bit. I don't
is.
know. But that's another part. Come back next Monday because we have part 2 next Monday with your wonderful husband. So I can't wait to have him
Yeah,
on next Monday night,
he's
same
getting
time, same
ready for
place.
it. Yes.
So we're super excited for that. So thank you so much. I appreciate you so much. And it's been so fun. And tell him we're doing live next week as well.
Thank you so much.
Thank
I
you. And
will.
thank you
I
for
will.
everyone
Thank you so
listening.
much. Have a nice evening.
And have a wonderful day. I appreciate you. Bye. And thank you.